රිවයින් කරන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මුකුත් මගේ වෙන්නේ.
BOTV TV බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
Good evening. Tonight, re-summoned former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa gives a statement to the FCID on the DA Rajapaksa Museum, walks out after few hours. Crime wave. Kotahena and Ratmalana becomes ground zero for new shootings that saw several injured. Leopard justice. 4 more suspects arrested by the Kilinochchi police over the killing of a leopard. Several more arrests to be made. Echoing the same, SLPP chairman says that the United States now reflects the same sentiments about the UN Human Rights Council, which they advocated 4 years back.
Now the United States is saying they can no longer work with the Human Rights Council because it stinks.
And in international headlines, back for more, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan wins re-election. Opposition hopes shattered amidst a volatile campaign. It's 9 o'clock on the dot. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7, Sri Lanka's news channel. Hello everyone, I'm Mahesh Johnny. The government is on a quest to make Galle a centralised hub for Sri Lankan economy. That story coming up later on in our this segment. But first, we begin with a statement from the President. President Maithripala Sirisena today emphasised that although the media levels criticism against the government programs to fast-track rural development is being carried out across the island. The President expressed these views at a religious event held in Polonnaruwa yesterday.
Unveiling of the pinnacle at the historic Unagala Vihara temple in Polonnaruwa was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena yesterday.
Anyone who travels towards Badiklo through Polonnaruwa can clearly witness the rapid development that has taken place in the areas. I have participated in over 100 opening ceremonies over the past 3 years. There are only a few group of people who focus on division of the government, which are being highlighted by the media. The village in the country do not follow political principles of Colombo. The foundation of Sri Lanka has been created by a strong discipline and tradition of these villages.
Meanwhile, President Sirisena engaged in an observation tour at the Parakrama Samudra Reservoir in Polonnaruwa to inspect the pollution which is experienced in the area. Relevant officials were instructed by the President to take legal action against those responsible.
Do not be concerned with the required funds. Make sure to keep some dustbins in this area and appoint a caretaker. The Central Cultural Fund and the Archaeological Department must erect boards here asking not to dispose garbage. I instructed the police to take legal action against anyone who is responsible as well. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at the Financial Crimes Investigation Division today to provide his statement over the construction of the DA Rajapaksa Memorial Museum. As he was leaving the premises of the FCID, the former Defence Secretary was questioned by journalists about various views in the political arena following the statement made by Anunayaka Thera of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Venruwe Upali Thera, at the former Defence Secretary's birthday celebrations recently.
මම උසාවියට ගියා ඒකෙන් කිව්වා මට ඇවිල්ලා සාක්කියක් දෙන්න කියලා ඒකට සාක්කියක් දෙන්න.
ඒ වගේම තමයි දැන් අපි දැක්ක පහුගිය දවස්වල අපේ අනුනායක හම්බුනගේ ප්‍රකාශයත් එක්ක බොහෝ දෙනා දේශපාලඥයෝ විවිධ මත අදහස් පළ කරනවා.
මේක අනුනායක ස්වාමින් වහන්සේ මගේ ගෙදර ගලිකව කරපු අනුශාසනාවක් මත දෙයක්. ඉතින් මේක පොදුවේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අගමැතිතුමා මුදල් ඇමතිතුමා සහ නොයෙක් ඇමතිවරු ඒ පිළිබඳව ප්‍රකාශ කිරීම මම දන්නේ මං ඉච්චර වැදගත් පුද්ගලෙක්ද කියලා. මම මේ සාමාන්‍ය පුද්ගලෙක්ගේ නිවසේ කරපු අනුශාසනාවක් නේ. දැන් මේ අනුශාසනාව කරන්නේ මට බුදුහාමුදුරුව වදාරලා තියෙන්නේ යම් කිසි අනුශාසනාවක් කරනකොට ඒ අනුශාසනාව තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රඥාවක් තියෙන පුද්ගලයන්ට පමණක් අනුශාසනාව කළ යුතුයි කියලා. ඉතින් මම නම් ඒ අනුශාසනාවේ තියෙන සියලුම කරුණු වටහා ගත්තා. වටහා ගත්ත නැති පුද්ගලයෝ තමයි මේ පිළිබඳව ප්‍රකාශනිකුත් කරන්නේ.
ඊළඟට තමයි බොහෝ දෙනා සඳහන් කරනවා ඉදිරියේදී ඔබතුමා ජනාධිපති වන්නේදී ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා කියලා. නමුත් ඒ වගේම තමයි මේ වෙනකොට ඔබතුමා ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසිභාවය ලබා ගැනීම සම්බන්ධව ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. මේ වෙනකොට ඔබතුමා එය ඉවත් කර ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවද? ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තියෙනවද?
මගේ ඉතින් තාම එහෙම මම ක්‍රියාදාමයකට ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමා එහෙම දැනුම් දීමක් කළා නැහැ. ඉතින් එහෙම අවස්ථාවක් ආවම කරගන්නට පුළුවන්.
Two individuals sustained injuries in separate cases of gun violence in the areas of Kotahena and Ratmalana today. The shootings occurred within a span of 42 hours.
An army corporal sustained injuries after being shot at by an unidentified gunman at the Chakkindarama road in Ratmalana this morning. The corporal had been shot while he was at the residence of a lieutenant colonel. The incident was captured by a nearby CCTV. The corporal was admitted to the Colombo South Teaching Hospital in Kalubovilla. He was later transferred to the Army Hospital citing security reasons. The director of the Colombo South Teaching Hospital said that the corporal has sustained minor injuries to his hand. Mount Lavinia Police has commenced further investigations on the incident. An individual sustained injuries after two unidentified gunmen who arrived on a motorcycle opened fire at him at Jampata Street in Kotahena. The shooting occurred at around 9:15 p.m. yesterday. The victim has been admitted to the Colombo National Hospital. Further investigations on the incident are being conducted by the Kotahena police. The victim's wife was identified as Kudu Selvi, a woman who was involved in drug trafficking. She was shot dead in 2015. Meanwhile, a 27-year-old youth was hacked to death in the area of Ginigala in Habaraduwa, Gaul yesterday. Suspects who arrived on a motorbike and in a three-wheeler murdered the youth using sharp weapons. The Habaraduwa police are carrying out further investigations to identify the suspects involved in the crime. In the meantime, the Committee to Protect Rights of Prisoners filed a complaint at the Police Commission today in relation to the main suspect of the recent shooting incident in Matara, Chamara Indrajit, having been shot dead while in police custody. The suspect had led the police to a location where he allegedly hid a bag of clothes. Upon arriving there, the suspect had retrieved a grenade from the bag and had attempted to lob it towards the accompanying police officers. Meanwhile, views were expressed by various factions regarding the rise of the crime rate in the country.
Minister Mangala Samaravira expressed that criminals should not be shot, but instead laws should be enforced on them. Where have you seen police maintaining silence at crime scenes? People are being hacked, shot and murdered. God knows who will revive this situation of the country since corruption apparent in all tiers of the society. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Piri says that the government continues to evade the responsibility of holding provincial council elections. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, the professor went on to say that steps will be taken to push the provincial council elections until the presidential elections have been held. The professor also spoke on several other matters during the media briefing.
Now, this gives rise to a very serious problem. By the time the presidential election is held next year, there are no fewer than 6 provincial councils that would have ceased to function for as long a period as 2 years. So, for 2 years, this country has been governed without provincial councils in 6 different areas. Then the question is bound to be asked, in that case, what is the use of provincial councils? The Yapalne government has not thought it necessary for any reason whatsoever to hold these provincial council elections. So, as a practical matter, if these provincial councils are entirely superfluous, if they serve no practical need, and the country can easily dispense with the provincial councils because for 2 years the country has managed without them, the question is bound to be asked, what is the justification for the enormous expenditure that is undertaken in respect of these provincial councils?
Meanwhile, Professor G.L. Piris went on to say that the former government has been continuously stating that the UN Human Rights Council's resolution against Sri Lanka is illegal and that they do not have the right to meddle with internal matters. The professor thus says that this is the same notion after 4 years the United States themselves has arrived at.
And we had at that time the very candid statement by Prince Zayed Rad Al Hussein, who said that the policy adopted by the Council in respect of Sri Lanka is a unique policy. He admitted that in so many words, saying that the Human Rights Council has not pursued such a policy in respect of any other country, so intrusive, dealing with internal matters which are for the parliament of the country in question to resolve. Constitutional reform, the reform of the army, pulling out the army from lands in the north, the repeal of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Now, these are all matters in which the Human Rights Council got involved, entirely contrary to their mandate. Now, the United States is saying they can no longer work with the Human Rights Council because it stinks. But what is the resulting position? The United States has pulled out, saying that the Human Rights Council is not even worthy of its name, but Sri Lanka is stuck with the resolution thanks to the absolute folly of the present government. This was not in the interest of the people of our country or the armed forces of Sri Lanka. It is a payoff. This is simply to acknowledge the obligations owed by the present government to all those forces that played a very active role in installing this government in power on the 8th of January 2015. And it is an act of treachery as far as the people of Sri Lanka are concerned.
4 more suspects were arrested by the Kilinochchi police last night over the incident of brutally killing a leopard in Ambakulam, Kilinochchi earlier this month. The arrested suspects were aged between 22 and 26 and were identified as Thurai Rasa Pratap, Tyagrasa Supan and Sinnarasa Pirandan of Krishnapuram and Thambirasa Tavarasa from Dharmapuram. The suspects were presented at the Kilinochchi Magistrates Court today and have been remanded till the 29th of June. So far, a total of 6 suspects have been arrested in relation to this incident. A short commercial break now. We'll be right back.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back, everyone. More local stories. The Federation of University Teachers alleges that 800 million rupees of the welfare funds of the University Grants Commission were utilized for controversial transactions related to the central bank bond issuance by perpetual treasuries. These views were expressed during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Perpetual Treasuries Limited had brought treasury bonds worth 880 million rupees from the EPF through National Savings Bank. Simultaneously, another dealer had submitted a bid that was 9 rupees lower per bond than the NSB bid. This means the transaction created a massive loss. This government came into power pledging transparency into activities related to public funds. So if there is criticism against perpetual treasuries for influencing the market in this manner, we like to know when the government became aware of this. We like to ask who made these investments and who are responsible for them. We also like to know what action the government will take against all responsible officials. Any officials, including the former chairman of University Grants Commission, should be questioned in this regard. It's unfortunate that none of the actions are taking place at this moment. The Director Board of the University Grants Commission made a decision to invest through the NSP. Dr. Sarath Amanugama was the subject minister at that time. I was in no way connected to this issue. I would like to say to those who don't know their facts right, that in 2013, during former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's tenure, they had created a mechanism through Article 91 to make investments for UGC and EPF funds. It has been revealed that due to fraudulent activities by Entrust Securities Private Limited, losses amounted to 12 billion rupees at that time. 2.5 billion rupees were directly part of the EPF. The responsible are clearly being mentioned. We asked the civil society members to talk about this incident as well. A plot of land in Hambantota, which is owned by the Palmyra Development Board, is being illegally cleared by the Ministry of Housing and Construction. Area residents charge that the clearing of land is carried out as per instructions issued by a prominent minister representing the electorate.
A plot of land which is used for cultivation of Palmyra in Tissamaharama, Hambantota, by the Palmyra Development Board has been requested to be cleared by the Ministry of Housing and Construction. According to the villagers, the land is being cleared to make way for a housing construction project as per instructions issued by a prominent minister. Our cameras captured the manner in which the land was being cleared with the use of heavy machinery. According to the chairman of the Land Reform Commission, the clearance of land is illegal as the said ministry did not receive permission from the commission. Under the Falling Trees Act of the Ministry of Agriculture, if an authority has a requirement to cut more than 15 Palmyra trees, permission should be obtained from the Provincial Agricultural Committee, the District Secretariat and the Secretary to the Line Ministry. However, according to the Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, B. Vijay Ratna, it has been revealed that no such permission was granted by the ministry.
Now more stories making news across Sri Lanka.
It has been 15 days since the Joint Postal Trade Union Collective commenced their strike action, citing several demands. Employees charged that due to failed discussions with government authorities, they have decided to continue their Fast Unto Death campaign opposite the Ministry of Posts, Postal Services and Muslim Religious Affairs. Teachers, principals and representatives from the Ports Authority were seen at the location to support the strike action. A boat capsized at the Magalana tank in Variapula last evening. 5 individuals who were in the boat drowned in the incident. According to the police media spokesperson's office, the bodies of 2 persons who were reported missing since the incident last evening was discovered today. The 3 other individuals, however, were rescued. Members of the Tamil Makkal Vidudalai Pulikkal Party have commenced a Satyagraha campaign today at Mahatma Gandhi Park in Battikalow, demanding the release of the former Eastern Province Chief Minister Sivanesathurei Chandrakanthan alias Pillayan. They further demanded that their leader be acquitted of the charges of terrorism against him.
Business news now. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government is working towards making Galle a centralised location for tourism in the Asian region. He expressed these views at a meeting held in Galle yesterday.
The progress review meeting regarding the use of archaeological buildings at Galle Fort as government officers were held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe last evening.
අයි බලන්නේ ගාල්ල ප්‍රසිද්ධ සංචාරක කේන්ද්‍රස්ථානයක් කරන්න. ලංකාව ඉන්දියන් සාගරේ කේන්ද්‍රයක් හැටියට අපි සලකනවා. ඒ දියුණුවේදී දැන් ගුවන්තොටුපොළ දෙකක් මැද තමයි විශේෂයෙන්ම ගාල්ල අද ඇති වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. කටුනායකත් ඒ වගේ මේ අවුරුද්ද අවසන් වෙනකොට මත්තල. මේ දෙක එකතු කරන මාර්ග පද්ධතියත් එන අවුරුද්ද වෙනකොට අපි අවසන් කරනවා. අපිට විශේෂ උත්සාහයක් දරන්න තියෙන ලංකාවට වැඩි ආදායම් ලැබෙන සංචාරයක් ගෙනල්ලා මේක දකුණු ආසියාවේ හොඳම සංචාරක ප්‍රදේශයේ හැටියට ප්‍රසිද්ධියක් ලබා ගන්න.
The central bank has sold $700 million dominated bonds at the Sri Lanka Development Bond Auction, which ended today. According to central bank data, Sri Lanka Development Bonds of $693.89 million of 2 years and 10 months tenor at a weighted average fixed rate of 5.25% and $6.11 million of 3 years and 10 months tenor at a rate of 5.52% were sold. None of the $63.1 million of the bids for the 4-year, 10-month tenor were accepted. The central bank has received a total of $829.60 million worth bids. A look at global oil markets. Oil prices fell today as traders factored an expected 1 million barrel per day output increase in the wake of the OPEC meeting in Vienna last week. Despite this, analysts said global oil markets would likely remain relatively tight this year.
Brent crude futures LCOC1 were at $74.25 per barrel, down 1.7% from their last close. Meanwhile, US West Texas Intermediate crude futures CLC1 were at $68.42 a barrel, down 0.2%, supported more than Brent by a slight drop in US drilling activity and a Canadian supply outage. Meanwhile, global share prices fell today on escalating trade tensions between the United States and major economies. US stock futures fell more than 0.5% today after the Wall Street Journal reported that US President Donald Trump plans to bar many Chinese companies from investing in US technology firms. The S&P 500 mini futures fell more than 0.5% in early Asian trade. Meanwhile, European shares, which hit multi-week lows last week, were expected to extend declines, with financial spread bettors predicting Britain's FTSE and Germany's DAX would open 0.5% weaker and France's CAC to open 0.6% down. In Asia, S&P 500 mini futures ESC1 eased as much as 0.6%, while MSCIS's broadcast index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan fell 0.95% to 6.5-month lows. Japan's Nikkei lost 0.8%. In the currency market, the dollar fell 0.55%, hitting its lowest levels.
Well, China is freeing up more than $100 billion to help its economy, which is facing fears of a slowdown and an escalating trade war. The country's central bank said yesterday that it is set to release as much as $107 billion into the financial system by reducing the amount of deposits that most commercial banks are required to hold. The move to cut the requirement by half a percentage point comes as the Chinese government is dealing with an emerging trade war with the United States and concerns its economy is weakening faster than expected. The cut is due to take effect on the 5th of next month, just one day before the United States and China plans to impose steep tariffs on tens of billions of dollars of each other's exports. To the stock market now, Colombo shares ended weaker today, staying closer to a 14-month low hit last week as investors sold diversified shares in dull trade with turnover at a 9-week low. The all share price index ended 0.13% weaker at 6,220.13, near its lowest close since April 2017. The Bourse fell 1.63% last week, according to its 5th straight weeks of losses. Now let's cross over to Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for more details.
The turnover was 176.08 million rupees, with 8.8 million shares changing hands in 2,624 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,905.66 billion rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 36.07 million rupees and foreign sales were 54.04 million rupees, and there were no crossings today.
Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
International news now. Turkey's long-standing leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan has won a new 5-year term after securing outright victory in the first round of a presidential election, securing 53% of the votes. Turkey held yesterday's presidential election under state of emergency declared after a failed military coup in July 2016. One of Erdogan's election promises was to lift the state of emergency as president.
Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan claimed victory in yesterday's presidential election and said his ruling AK party and its alliance partner had won a parliamentary majority. Erdogan got nearly 53% with almost all votes counted. His closest rival Muharrem İnce was on 31%. Final results will be announced on Friday. His main opponent Muharrem İnce from the Republican People's Party formally conceded defeat but said that the election was unfair from its declaration to the announcement of the results. 64-year-old Tayyip Erdogan is the most popular but also the most divisive politician in modern Turkish history. He will now assume sweeping new powers won in a controversial referendum last year. The post of the Prime Minister will be abolished under the new constitution. Erdogan has presided over a strong economy and built up a solid support base by investing in healthcare, education and infrastructure. However, he has also polarized opinion, cracking down on opponents and putting 160,000 people in jail. He was Prime Minister for 11 years before becoming President in 2014. Under the new constitution, he could stand for a third term when his second finishes in 2023, meaning he could potentially hold power until 2028.
Leaders from a group of member states of the European Union gathered in Brussels yesterday for an informal summit to find a solution to the migration issue, one of the biggest problems faced by Europe. Yesterday's ad hoc meeting sets the stage for a long-planned gathering of the EU leaders on Thursday, where it will be harder to mask Europe's deep division on the matter.
The informal talks convened by European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker is expected to lay the groundwork for the EU summit slated for June 28, when the reform of the common European asylum system will feature prominently on the agenda. Leaders from 16 EU countries put on a show of unity, but the unorthodox meeting was boycotted by several EU countries following disagreements on the migrant issue. Leaders at the gathering had different concerns. Countries at the forefront of the crisis, such as Italy, are seeking more assistance and an equal quota system, while countries in the north, such as Germany, hopes to limit the number of migrants arriving in southern European countries and prevent secondary migration. French President and other leaders meanwhile agreed that all EU countries should work towards a solution to the political crisis. Following the meeting, Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Xavier Bettel, had this to say.
For the moment, we see every country trying to find their own solution. This is really not the Europe I want. We need to find common solutions because it's not a national problem, but an European problem.
Since Mediterranean arrivals spiked in 2015, when more than 1 million refugees and migrants reached the EU, leaders in the bloc have been at odds over how to handle influx and creating division in the EU over how best to deal with resettling people. The issue has recently returned to the fore on EU agenda as a war of words broke out between France and Italy over a rescue ship loaded with 629 migrants.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow, they are to vary between 21 and 35 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 35 expected in Mullaitivu. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the western province and will gradually disappear. Tomorrow will be a sunny day for several parts of the island, including Jaffna, Manna, Trincomalee and Batticaloa. The areas of Vaunia, Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Matara as well as Hambantota, however, will experience showers with thunder activity also expected. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7, Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Mahesh Johnny. First at 9 will return tomorrow at the same time. Be sure to join us then. Before we wrap things up for tonight, we like to share with you some sights and sounds of this beautiful Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.